ready to move out.
Yes, it is. It's a Bell and Company. I like getting that in there. That's Libby, our co-host, who's back this week. Hey, Libby.
Hi. How you doing?
She's my co-host and announcer, and you know it's no fun when you're not here. We had a good week last week.
Yeah.
Good show, but
I didn't feel good last week.
Yeah, we could have had a few words from Libby in there. Would have been nice. I know. When they got here, they were like, "Oh, where's Libby?" Well, she's not feeling too good.
Yeah.
So that was last week.
Bad sinus infection.
But you're
I'm
okay now.
Yeah.
You look all right.
Yeah, I'm a lot better.
And we also have a great guest that used to actually be my other co-host many moons ago. I was just saying off the air, can you believe it's been 9 years since we were together on the air? This is Miss Cindy Lou Pryber. Hey, Cindy Lou.
It was been 9 years, huh?
Nine long years.
Was that 2015? I think we
It was.
So
and he had passed away, the old owner, but we kind of kept it going for a few years. No, not 2015, 2013.
Yes.
Was it 2000?
Okay, so it's 11 years, not 9. I was
wrong.
Well,
I know we were talking about, it must have been 2014 because I think we used to be talking about the midterm election or something like that.
Yeah, so okay, so 10 years then. I was wrong. It's not 9 years, it's 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow, still.
Yeah, still.
That went by fast.
It did. And I really haven't seen.
I feel like we're, and I had talked to these guys to be on here as well. I wanted to be on both at the time. I was greedy. I wanted to be on every radio station in Chicago.
Well, I think that's the general idea. You want to be on as many radio stations.
I want as much of the audience as I can get. Right.
Right.
We got to be like Rush Limbaugh had 100? No, not 100 million. What was it? 20 million listeners, I think, towards the end there.
Is that how many he had?
It was a ton because every station carried him basically in every terrestrial station, not podcasting station. But
I often wonder about these numbers that they throw out or something. Like there was that podcast or whatever from the other day with
the numbers that you see here when you're looking at this. Well, actually, I don't know if all of them, my heart speaker and all that, give numbers for audio. But if you look at the Facebook and the YouTube, those are numbers. Those are real numbers.
They are really numbers. Okay.
But the radio, I think they cheat a little bit.
It seems like they do cheat a little bit.
So instead of 20 million, he had 18 million. Okay.
Well, I mean, that big thing the other day on Twitter or whatever with or not Twitter, X.
X.
with Elon and Trump.
How many did they say? Oh, well, it got interrupted.
They said they had 1 billion views. And I'm like, that means 1 out of 8 people in the world listen to that.
Well, we know that he likes to do things bigly, right? President Trump.
Well, I'm just wondering if that's really, did they really get 1 billion views? I mean,
I don't know.
I'd like to call,
I don't think, did they really say 1 billion?
Shenanigans.
I know they said hundreds of millions. I saw numbers for that. Even Tucker Carlson mentioned it. But anyway, we don't have that many people, but we have a lot. In fact, in the corner of the studio here, you don't have to look. There's they won they got their YouTube award or whatever.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we got a pretty good audience here at Intellectual Radio.
That's good. That's good. We need to get whatever the message is, the word out.
I try to be kind of, I don't know if you call it neutral, because sometimes Libby gets upset and goes on her rants, and she's not a fan of President Trump. But we talk about a little bit of politics here and there, but not much. We try to be more fun.
Well, I mean, politics is just generally divisive. We shouldn't. That's why we're often told don't talk about politics
or religion,
right?
Because
but you know what? We're going to do it because
we have to
have this. So anyway, we're on Bell and Company. The new show is called Bell and Company. The old show I was on with Cindy Lou was actually kind of we weren't ourselves. We were kind of playing characters like Stephen Colbert used to do. Right. Remember, he played the conservative guy on Jon Stewart's show and then on his own show.
Yeah,
that's kind of what we were doing.
Well, we were the best morning ever after.
We were the best morning after. That's
best morning after ever.
Ever.
Now, we don't have the sponsorship with the Spark Maker anymore.
Yeah, no, right. That was an interesting project we were doing. I wouldn't mind getting another company like that. I'm not opposed to it. We're not heavily monitored by the FCC on this station, so we could, but
so you could sell.
I got no money. I got really messed up off of that because I paid a lot of money to get that connection and
I told you it was a scam.
And Libby tried to tell me it was a scam back then, and I didn't listen.
Well,
you never listen.
There's all kinds of scams out there. Every I listen to a lot of YouTube, especially, and for the most part, and
That's where you get your
everybody's
news now, isn't it?
everybody's they're putting the ads in there. You've got people, other YouTubers putting ads in while they're, oh, buy my product, buy my course, do this. Then you've got other people complaining about, YouTube demonetized me.
Yeah.
And this is it's actually a big issue that I think I've been dealing with a lot lately.
But you think a lot of it is because they're, I guess, the owners of Google or the owners of Facebook don't like hearing that political viewpoint, or just they don't want to hear that topic?
Basically.
Why do you think that happens?
Well, I think that Google is owned by Alphabet.
Right.
So who owns the Alphabet? I mean, Alphabet is a company now.
Well, the two guys that started it, I guess, owned it at one point. I don't know who owns the Alphabet.
And obviously
it's internationally owned, right? The Alphabet?
But it has.
Well, there's different ones from each country, so.
Yeah, but it has some sort of ties to, government things and this, that, and the other thing, and
well, do they? The rumor is that Facebook and Google were started by the government, the U.S. government, like the CIA or something.
Supposedly, Facebook was started as a DARPA project.
Are we going to get cut off the air when we're talking about this?
I don't know, but I think they're probably with me on here. No, actually.
Again, this is our guest Cindy Lou, who used to be my co-host. Should I say your last name or not? Is it okay?
Yeah, you can say my last name. I'm Cindy Pryber.
Yeah,
that's actually spelled Cyndi, just like Cyndi Lauper.
She's giving it right out there. So if you want to chase after anybody for anything said on the show, blame that guest right there.
Yeah, and I'm on Facebook, and I have a little Facebook page, and I have a little Facebook thing. And
Libby, do you know about this? That she's on the CNN network now?
Oh, really? I didn't know this.
Yeah.
No.
What is it?
Well, that's right. I co-opted CNN because those are just again, this is probably going back to like the Alphabet type of thing. Who owns the Alphabet?
Yeah.
So
right.
I'm looking at CNN, a cable news network owned by
now owned by you, Cindy.
Well,
Lou,
no,
right?
well, no. I said, well, if it's CNN, why don't I just make it Cindy News Network? Then that's CNN.
Right.
So I'm CNN, and I try and be the real CNN and cut through the.
As long as you don't steal the logo. I haven't seen your logo.
No, I have not stolen the logo. I'm just taking the initials because initials can mean just about anything. I mean, if you have.
And in your case, it's Cindy Lou's News Network.
Right.
So what are, I've been watching on and off your videos, but let's fill everybody in. One of the main reasons I wanted to have you on is to talk about, what you're saying on these videos, where you're getting your sources. And I think you kind of touched on it, but so let's back up a little bit. So Cindy, you felt like you had some issues going on with that started you to get on the Facebook every day and start the CNN, the Cindy News Network.
Well, I think
what happened?
What I've had was I've had issues with everything. Basically, I mean, the way we're living in the world today is all wrong. It's all divisive. We've got mountains and mountains of problems, and there's
you could say that for the last 100 years of the modern America,
and they never get
industrialized America.
They never get solved, and I believe I was part of some sort of a hack attack or. And if you've ever heard of like gang stalking, I mean, it happens to me.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Honestly,
yes. But then again, partly I've done it kind of to myself in a sense. I mean, it's been my mission in life really to get the word and the truth out. And obviously we're being on this platform.
Yeah.
They don't really like the truth because the truth does hurt.
Well, the mainstream media, remember, is owned by people.
Yeah,
individuals, not necessarily the government. Even though they influence it supposedly with the FCC and everything.
Yeah, but they want they want their narrative, and if you go against their narrative, you're going to be a big problem. What was that beep? I don't know.
Well,
but,
here's the thing with that too. I mean, you don't just the beauty with the independent media is it's a lot easier to do what you want to do and not necessarily be governed by the manager of that station or the news director or whatever, versus here it's more free to say what you want kind of thing. Open, what do you want? Free speech.
Yes.
I don't want to rip off another guy that you might channel here later in the broadcast, but the Free Speech Network, the global information, all that.
And that whole story,
or Genesis Broadcast.
I believe you all know who we're talking about. If you don't know who we're talking about, can we say his name? Should we say his name?
Yeah, you could say his name, sure.
Okay, so I mean, we were actually talking about Mr. Alexander Jones.
I've never heard anybody say Alexander.
from
Alex
the
show.
internet.
That's funny.
The InfoWars network.
InfoWars network.
And
are you collaborating with them, by the way? You and
no,
Owen
but you know what?
Alex
I wouldn't
together?
mind actually talking to him at some point in time. I mean, because I think he's mostly right. But the fact, going back to, because I want to say a few months ago, there was an issue with his like station manager or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was making a big giant hullabaloo about it. And they said, we want the network off the air. We're taking over the name. You don't have anything to it. This all goes back to his lawsuit case.
Libby'd probably be happy about it. She's not a fan of Alex. Are you,
No,
Libby?
the thing is, he is our age and he looks older than us.
Well, that's all those supplements he's taking, right?
I can't get over that.
So maybe they're not
weird.
working. They're making him age. Well, it could be the stress of the government after him and trying to shut him down.
It could be stress of everybody.
He had that giant lawsuit.
Yeah.
Where they
who sued him, by the way? I'm still confused about
Sandy
that.
Hook's family.
Are we allowed to even say that? I don't know. I suppose we are. But
well, we'll find out if the YouTube's taken down.
But that
right now we're
the
good.
parents of the incident sued him for defamation, and then
okay, that was the main charge. Then okay,
and
that was like a $700 million lawsuit.
Oh, it was like $1 billion.
Oh, was it $1 billion?
And it's like, where do you think this guy's got $1 billion?
Well, maybe somebody did. I
mean, there's. I heard something. There's only about 800 and I think they said 813 billionaires in the whole world.
Right, that's true.
So
but those billionaires are like trillionaires. Some of them now.
Well, I mean,
Amazon guys,
multi-billionaires.
Jeff Bezos and his people.
More supposed money than you can.
The Saudi guys are pretty rich.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're trillionaires, but they're multi-billionaires.
Well, and then there's a lot of people out there.
Is former President Trump, was he a billionaire? I don't know.
I mean, he says he's a billionaire, but yet he's always asking for money.
Exactly.
That's what Libby always makes sense. Why is he always asking for money if he's a billionaire? But you're going to get donations from people to support you.
Yeah.
Whether you're a billionaire or not. I mean, it's just how it works.
Right.
In America, at least.
I mean, so he might be, but then again, if he is, he's certainly not just handing it out, and doing it. It goes to people like Bill Gates, who, billionaire and everything, but then he started the Bill Gates Foundation. It's humanitarian in nature, but I mean, you got to judge the humanitarian nature because they've kicked him out of a lot of countries for doing things that.
Well, not President Trump.
Well, no, I'm talking about Bill Gates.
Now you're talking about Bill Gates.
I mean, Bill Gates is supposedly banned from certain countries, from what I'm understanding here. That like he's banned from places like India and certain countries in Africa because he pushes the vaccines.
Oh, but he's not banned from America.
Yeah, and these vaccines.
He's from here, so.
These vaccines are potentially dangerous. Actually, I would say they're most likely potentially dangerous.
Libby and I have argued about that off the air quite a bit. I think she even talked about on the air a few times about, is the government here to help you? And I know we talked a little bit about your background and then got into talking about Alex Jones. We'll get back to Alex in a minute, but I did want to bring up some of the things that, are happening currently, like the latest studies now, and I'm not sure I guess the government has them too, but there's a bunch of independent organizations that are talking about the water that all these cities supply. So more of a local government, not necessarily the feds or anything, but these local cities are actually maybe not purposely, but all the stuff they add to the water and then what's already in the water supply, like mercury and stuff, is actually more harmful than it is, good for you.
Well, it's the water
treatment. It could kill you in some of these cities, like Flint, Michigan.
Yeah.
There's an example.
Well, that was done on purpose.
Now, Libby can chime in on that. You know a little bit about that.
I filed that case, so.
Yeah, so that was a water supply issue.
Yeah.
Right.
But now, who caused it is the question. I guess that I want to.
The government
try to figure out.
Well, Rick Schneider did because.
So that was again local government.
He wanted to privatize the water system, and they said, no, you're not getting it from Detroit. You're getting it from the Flint River because we're going to do this
or somewhere near Detroit. Like it was another lake or whatever they were going to get it from normally, but instead they went through Flint with that, and it had something to do with, I don't know.
It was because of the GM plant were throwing chemicals in the water. And
no, but why did they switch it?
Because Rick Schneider said they were going to privatize it, but in the meantime, you're going to Flint, and they never privatized it. It was done on purpose, and I think it was to kill off a bunch of people. They wanted poor people out of Flint so they can build a college town and condos and all that.
That's Flint, Michigan, and that's the governor of Michigan.
Yeah.
But it's happening all over the country. It's not just Michigan.
No,
Illinois, there's a lot of reports now or I'm sorry, not Illinois, Northwest Indiana, like Gary and East Chicago. Their water supply is supposedly contaminated.
Well, they've got the big refinery over there in Whiting, and I think that just got shut down or something, or there was an accident right across from it just yesterday, I believe.
But I don't know if
like
it's
that.
This is why I wanted to bring it up. I'm confused. Maybe Cindy Lou or Libby, you can enlighten us, because Cindy Lou's all about the conspiracy stuff. Even when we were on the old show, I think we were into that. But anyway, it's not so much where they're getting the water from, or even that it's coming from the Flint River. It's what they're putting in it or what they're not taking out of it. That's the problem. That the cities aren't doing what they should to keep the water safe to drink is the point of this whole thing.
They're not properly filtering it. They're not.
So about it.
There's
You've heard
there's
about
a lot of issues. I think the main issue probably is really who owns the water.
Oh boy, that's a good one. Well, you were talking about who owns the alphabet, who owns water, right?
we own the water. Collectively, we all own the water. You can't own the water,
well,
but that didn't stop.
Tell that to all the cities that, if you don't have a well, you're supplied by the city water. So
yeah, but that
comes from a lake that's supposed to be public, everybody can enjoy. Yeah. And I mean, people do obviously enjoy the lake.
Well, I mean, it was a few years
Chicago,
ago,
Michigan,
and there was a CEO, and I believe it was the CEO of Nestle, which don't maybe was that?
See, this is what's funny.
It is.
Libby will agree with you on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, and the CEO of Nestle says
this isn't a liberal or conservative issue. This is everybody.
No, this is what happened.
Well, we need water. It's a basic human right. I mean,
life.
Water, food, clothing, shelter. It's a basic human right, and they charge corporations, governments, everything. They charge you for everything. It's I mean, we're the only species on this, rock that we're living on.
The rock.
I mean, I kind of hesitant, sometimes.
We're the only species that has to
pay to be here.
Well, you know what? The other species get knocked out by us. Like, think about it. Like, there's a gopher thinking he's having a good time in the golf course, and boom,
sure,
he gets trapped and whatever they do with him.
But
or bombed, like in Caddyshack.
But obviously, the inflation, that we've been experiencing over the last few years has been completely out of control. I mean, and actually, if you look at it over not just the last few years, if you talk about that over maybe say 20, 30 years, the prices of things have just shot up. I mean, you can go back to maybe the
water supply too. Speaking of shooting up stuff, the water, I'll just finish off with the water supply thing. I do blame these local cities, not the federal government so much, or even the state, but I think that the cities need to do a lot better job to provide us something that, like you said, technically should be free. And it is if you have a well. You can get it yourself. They don't charge it for the well. At least now they don't.
Yeah.
But is that good water compared to what they're supposed to be providing? It's supposed to have been filtered and much cleaner and, easier to get. Obviously, you don't have to worry about, running dry. And they have a big supply, right? Well,
right. Well, a lot
I
of
don't
these, I would say a lot of these municipalities, these cities, towns and whatnot, they probably have a lot of corrupt elements. I would say that's a general statement, but it's not too hard to believe.
Well, in some cities named Chicago that I won't name, Chicago and Gary and even Burr Ridge or Illinois has had some issues. Again, these are for people that listen all across the country. We're talking about Illinois.
Now, this is going off the water topic here, but it goes to the municipality here. But I was just reading this article or listening to an article. There's a big problem right now, obviously down in Dalton.
Oh yeah,
now
people across the whole country have probably been paying attention to that because that's making national headlines. We've got mainstream news.
Super mayor, she's your girl, Tiffany, and
is that what they call her, the super mayor?
Yeah, that's what she calls herself. She used to put.
She calls herself.
Herself super mayor.
She's having a big festival this weekend. We're on a Friday here. 16th of August, 2024. We're doing it live, and she's having a big festival in the middle of all of this controversy. She's just going to be out there, probably, MC for the concert.
Reminds me of Trump.
Really?
Well, yeah.
Just ignores everything.
Well, suppose.
Oh, you mean how they keep trying to get Trump on things, and he just keeps somehow avoiding them. Same thing with the mayor.
Yeah, so his time is coming. He's acting like nothing's wrong, and it's just. it's annoying.
Well,
But-
speaking of the mayor of
that's
Thornton
what I wanted to-
Township and
she's,
Dalton,
she's the mayor of Thornton Township, and she's the manager of Thornton Township, and
and the mayor of
she's the mayor.
Dalton.
There was
Dalton,
just a
Illinois.
story that came out earlier today that the Illinois State Comptroller, is wanting to audit her, and she says, "You can't audit me," and
As a village or as a person?
as a village. Are we dealing with corporate entities or are we dealing with people? So under a corporate entity, yeah, they can contract with everybody all they want to, but if you're just dealing with a person, they really have no right to
Well, there is
contract
such
with
thing as immunity too.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to prove the corruption before they can get her in trouble or put her in jail.
Right. So they're not really going to get any. So apparently, the Illinois State
They have to try her on it.
comptroller
I guess I should say.
is trying to find money and trying to find this, find that.
But he's going after the village, not her specifically, right?
Again, I can't remember the whole. It was basic,
Well, we have Cindy Lou Pryber on the show with us today to talk about a lot of things that are going on in the world in terms of political stuff, conspiracy stuff, and just things in general, because that used to be our special thing. And you're doing these Facebook Lives. I mean, have you been talking about, were you talking about the mayor of Dalton on some of them? I haven't seen that one.
I've mentioned it, but not today. I think I only did one video today. These are basically what I'm doing on Facebook. Is you can I've been doing live sessions. They're about 50. I keep them at 50 minutes long.
Oh, you do? Oh, so it's kind of like this.
I make a point that they started just kind of random times of the day, but they're not really so random times of the day. If you watch it, you'll understand what I'm trying to do. I'm actually trying to correct the timeline here.
I have kind of noticed that you've got the little thing about the sheriff's office, and each
Well,
time means something. I've noticed that.
That is because there's a lot of numerology or things like that are going on there.
Well, I'm waiting to see you at 666 somehow, but you can't do that.
Well, I mean,
666.
There's people all over the internet that follow this gematria stuff. I listen to this one guy, and he's out of Chicago.
Wait, what would 666 be like if you're on June 6th at 6 p.m.? I guess, but you already passed.
I suppose so, but no, I've heard a lot of people with the gematria, and they're like, put this word in there. See 666. You put this word in here. It's 666.
I've heard of that.
What is it called?
Say
that again.
Gematria.
It's called gematria.
Somebody spell that for me. Either one of you.
It's spelled Gematria, I believe.
I have never heard of that.
Well, now you have.
Yeah, and this is things that they use. Obviously, comes from old ancient studies. Comes from the Hebrew people and again, I don't really want to call them. I do actually talk about that a lot. So if you get easily offended, maybe it might not be the show, but I'm trying to actually explain to you or explain to the people how we've been screwed. And it's not so much, there's basically, at the risk of sounding anti-Semitic here, there are two different kinds of Jews. Okay. And then I've also been explaining how this love of Israel.
Wait, you know what? It's funny you are bringing this up, because I had a guest on a couple months ago by the name of Andy. He's also been a producer that I've worked with on some stuff.
Oh, not him.
And he went off on the Jewish faith.
Well,
oh my gosh!
And
I don't know if he was talking about like the Zionists or
that's
all that stuff.
That's the thing with the Zionists and but there's a big difference between the modern day state of Israel and then the Israelites of like the Bible.
Well, that's what everybody. I mean, President Trump even talked about that, saying, "Well, I'm with Israel. This is the holy land of the holy, people from thousands of years ago." But if you really want to break it down, there's like the corporatism of the Zionism.
There's a lot of corporatism.
There you go. Versus the actual Israeli people.
And I don't like to quote a whole lot of Bible verses and stuff like that, because I've listened to a lot of people who do nothing but quote Bible verses, and it's like, I get really kind of irked, I suppose, when people say, well, the answers are clearly written in the Bible. Really? Really? I mean, if you've ever been to a Bible study, you'll realize, you read out a couple verses, and you've got maybe 20 people in there, you're going to have 20 different opinions as to what that verse says. So it's all about interpreting the Bible. And of course, that's been retranslated, to English.
Well, there's something called literalism and fundamentalism, where they or fundamentalism, I think, is the one where they literally, whatever the version is, I think the King James Bible, they go word for word and it means what it says. But I'm not that type of person myself. But you were. I'm
But-
sorry.
but-
I got you off the subject.
Yeah, but then
We're
again,
talking about
like-
the Jewish faith and what's going on in Israel. Go ahead.
Well,
You-
with the
I didn't mean
Jewish,
to interrupt.
there is a line, a piece of scripture, that says, who's the people who say they're Jews and they're not. They're the synagogue of Satan. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
No, repeat that again.
There's a line in the Bible where it says, for those of you who say you are Jews, but you are not. You're the synagogue of Satan. And this actually goes back to the story about
Wait, where would that be in the Bible? Revelation?
it's
Or in
right.
the-
It's
in the
right
Old
around the
Testament?
time. It's of the story of Jesus flipping the tables over in the temple. This is the only time, one of
So
the
that's
only
New
times.
Testament stuff. That's Matthew,
Yeah.
Mark, Luke, and John talking about
Right.
it.
It's one of the only times that he ever is portrayed as getting mad, is because he says you're trading, you're turning my father's house into a place of commerce.
So how does that relate then to what we're seeing today with and technically, like, the Palestinians are not really from anywhere. They're like a whole region of people that used to be like Iran and what else was there?
I think the
Persia or whatever.
The Palestinians, they follow the Muslim faith, and they were originally there. And when they were, now going back to 1948, they established the
Jewish state.
the Jewish state of
Right.
modern day Israel.
Right.
And of course, now if you know how Israel is spelled, it's Israel. Okay. And this goes back to things like the worship of the sun god Ra. Okay. And
you mean the name itself has meaning
there?
there?
There is a special meaning of that's why Israel is spelled, Israel. And it's a mask for is real. Do you understand? You understand where we're getting?
Oh, like okay.
Like it, meaning it is real.
I got it.
But they've co-opted it. The modern day
Wait,
government.
but that's English version of it. How would it be said in other languages?
Well, I don't. I don't speak Hebrew, but like there's.
But would it be it is real in Hebrew too? Is what I'm wondering.
There are plenty of Jewish people who are very good. They're just waiting for. They're waiting for the Messiah, just like everyone else. They've realized, we made it. We really screwed up 2,000 years ago. When we killed that guy. I mean, it's like we didn't believe him then. And
well, they killed that guy and his 12 apostles, or not all of them, but some of them.
Right. And we're actually getting to the point right now where it's like, okay, it's coming any day now.
Oh, you're feeling the revelation stuff?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people out there chatter, the rapture is going to happen every day now. They're not actually talking about the second coming of Jesus. They're not.
Well, that is what I thought that happens
Christ.
during the time of Revelation. That is what happens.
Well, exactly. But then what's the confusion here? Is it the rapture, or is it the second coming?
Oh.
Now there's
you're getting too deep.
There's
deep thought for me, man.
There's
I don't know.
thousands and thousands of sects. I said, meaning whatever groups.
Libby, help us out here. What do you know about this stuff? You're not into religion, are you at all?
I'm not, but I agree with her though, what she's saying, because I know about the Zionists and the Jewish people. They're not the same thing. And I'm on the Palestinian side. I don't like war anyway. I don't think we should be funding terrorism. I don't think we should be involved with this, and this has got to stop.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, look at the way.
What did those Palestinian people ever did to me? Nothing.
Well, I who's tied in with who? I think that's what Cindy Lou's kind of touching on.
Well,
right
look
now.
at the way we've got religion or churches. Religion and churches are pretty much the same thing, I would say. You have Methodists, you have Lutherans, you have Episcopalians, you have Catholics, you have
Lutherans, Catholics.
Now Catholics are a completely different story than the Protestants,
right?
And then of course you've got all the other ones, like you've got the Mormons, you've got the Jehovah's Witnesses, you've got the Seventh Day Adventists.
I don't know if they're Christian, are they?
Well,
I guess
they're mostly a cult, almost for the most part.
Scientology.
Well, that's what people say about all the religions, right? Even the Muslim religion.
And if you don't agree with, there's really one true way, and let's just say how the Methodists can say that's the one true way, but then they've got an idea with, then they're completely different than the Baptists. or whatever.
Well, it seems like they've all kind of gone way off into their own, structure of system of how they're going to talk about the word,
Yeah, how they're going to.
And how do you think that then to kind of tie it in to today's world? How is it relating to? Obviously, there is the fight between the Gaza Strip where everybody's living, the Palestinian groups, Hamas, all that, and the Jews, obviously, Israel. But what do you think? How do you think that ties into the actual religion?
How does it tie into the? Well,
how does that conflict relate to the religion that you're bringing up all this stuff?
Well,
I kind of got you off.
Here's an example. Like I'll listen to somebody who's say a pastor or something like that, and he'll have his little YouTube show, and I'm not going to mention his name, but you might be, if you're listening to this, you might understand who I'm talking about or whatever. But
you can mention names.
I'm not going to mention anything, and I'm not going to give him any promotion, actually, because I mean, ultimately he starts off his show and he's like, are you this? Are you that? Get my, go get my promo code and buy gold. And I'm like, well, that's not, I mean, what kind of pastor are you? I mean, you're just slightly under, say, Joel Osteen, or
you're probably buying
Kenneth
it from
Copeland,
him, right?
And that type of thing. And the
you got to buy it directly from him too, right?
Right. Well, I mean, you buy it from the gold dealer, but it's like you got to use the promo code and this, that, and the other thing. But
so he gets some kind of money.
Yeah, but he says, he's like, and everybody pray for Israel. Pray for Israel. Israel's under attack. And I'm like, do you even understand that there's a big difference between the people in Israel? I mean, there is a cabal, a secret cabal, the priest class.
I always talk about this off the air, maybe with you up there. There is the whole group that's not. It's not. They're not called Zionists, but I would call them the cabal.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is a cabal. It's because behind every king, there's a priest.
Well, because with the Zionists, I thought that's just the Jewish religion. That's where I got confused of. But then there's the cabal guys that I guess call themselves something, not Zionists, but that's where I get confused. Everybody's trying to throw these terms around: the Israelis, the Jews, the Zionists, the cabals. I mean, that's what I'm trying to figure out, how it's relating to what's really going on in the world with politics and everything today.
Okay, you take a guy like Karl Marx. Okay, Communist Manifesto.
He had no religion.
Well, he was, he said he was an atheist.
So am I.
But he was technically Jewish, and
Libby's an atheist,
and so he was one of those self-hating Jews.
He was a self-hating Jew?
He was basically a self-hating Jew, and he never really amounted to much. And then, but then he wrote this book, and obviously it took off. And, have we found out yet that
somebody listened to him?
Have we found out yet that communism has never worked?
Well, they'll argue that it's working fine.
I mean, they're going to argue it's working fine.
Venezuela,
as they kill hundreds of millions of people.
China. Who else is communist these days?
Fascism doesn't work either.
Yeah, Libby says it's actually fascism that's the problem.
Well, and even today, they make Russia to be out this big giant enemy of ours, because they're still saying, oh well, it's the USSR, and I'm like, it's not. The USSR has been gone since 1990.
No, it's like, as Libby calls it, an oligarchy,
right? And you see that, but
running by a guy, he used to be in the KGB. Then he was the prime minister. Then he was the president. Then prime minister. Now he's president again of Russia, Vladimir Putin.
Right. Well, he was the president, and then they had him come down. Then he became the prime minister again. While they were organizing the government, then he stepped back and let somebody else be president for a little while. Medvedev, Dmitry Medvedev, this is this guy's name.
Yeah.
And then he got elected back, and now he's basically going to keep.
He keeps getting reelected.
He keeps getting reelected. And one of the big problems that the world has with Russia is they cannot take it. Okay. I mean, and they'll slam Putin all day long and say, oh, he's a dictator, he's a murderer, he's a thug.
Right.
But apparently in Russia, I mean, he has 80% approval amongst their people.
Right.
He's doing a great job.
I mean, in Venezuela, it's the same way. I mean, there's obviously some kind of.
Oh, it's here. This is the same way.
I mean, there's a way to sway people, and I don't think we use violence in America to sway people to be a political party.
No, but we use other stuff, propaganda, stuff like that.
Even in our own town here, we've got Ukrainian flags up all over the place.
Yeah.
And now when that whole thing went off in 2000, well, just 2 years ago, what was it?
When it happened?
Yeah,
When Russia
was that
went over there?
22? Was that in
Yeah,
22 when that
I
first
think
started?
Has it been 2 years already?
Yeah, when that first started, remember everybody was flying the Ukrainian flag,
Right.
and everybody was pray for Ukraine.
What do you talk about this on the Facebook chat you do? Are you bringing
sometimes?
this stuff up?
I mean, I could, but usually I've got a whole lot of other things. I'm trying to explain to people. Well, I'm really trying to explain to you, all the people about God, and about our Father, Almighty up in heaven. Now He runs.
There's
everything.
definitely a big power that
there is
be.
a big power, and He definitely speaks to me. He speaks through me. I've managed to capture the Spirit.
Do you go to church?
No, I don't actually go to the church, and
Are you Christian?
I mean, yes, I'm very Christian, but
Okay.
but I know the hypocrisy of the actual organized Christian
You
religion.
don't like the organized Catholic religion.
I don't
Libby's
either.
always joking about the pedophiles.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a good excuse thing right there that you just bring up is like the Catholic Church, the Vatican. It's really,
they kind of control everything.
Well, it's
really,
think
about it, or they used to at least.
All the Vatican and
they got a lot of money.
The Holy Roman Empire. I mean, it's the Holy Roman Empire.
It was.
I mean, well, it still kind of is today. They don't.
We don't have that much time. We've got a guest coming on to talk about entertainment stuff, which you're going to talk about with us. But here you get the whole that family of the Rothschilds. I figured you might want to get into that. Well, I thought you were going to channel Alex, and you haven't gotten to him yet.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of conspiracies here.
There we go. Here he is.
Hey, Alex. The answer to 1776 and 1984. No, the answer to 1984 is 17. By my supplements here.
Yeah. Well, I think they. Well, Libby says he doesn't think they work. Yeah. We'll have our guest on.
I've tried some of his supplements. They don't. I don't know. I don't really.
They didn't
do
help
it for me, but then again,
it looks like your hair grew out.
He wasn't selling a supplement for that. I mean, he's trying to sell what? Some sort of boner pill or something.
I don't know what the hell he was selling. Libby's always making fun of him. What was he selling?
Now he's
seriously.
It's supplements for men.
Now he's got.
Okay. So it was like vitality stuff, maybe.
Super male vitality, and then he.
Remember, he used to come on. You used to yell on the air,
right? And then he had, I got my silver bullet fluoride free toothpaste here. You got to get that. They're putting fluoride in the water, folks.
Yeah, there you go.
They're out to get you there, And
that's funny that Alex talked about it because we brought that up a little earlier. There's definitely some issues with what these cities do and why there's not more regulation on things. But I'm not a fan of big regulations, especially federally. But I don't like the local cities to just run wild and do whatever the hell they want.
Right.
I don't either.
Well, like there's a thing with like going back to the Catholic deal and the conspiracy. If your average Catholic person knew the kinds of things that really go on in the dark recesses of the Vatican, they would be.
There's an underground layer in
horrified.
The Vatican. There's like a whole city underground.
Horrified.
Yeah, well,
and this goes back to a lot of the Jewish people too. The Talmudic Jew, Talmudic, whatever. The Jews that follow the Talmud. That's a whole set of.
Do they have all the money like Rome? The Roman Empire does.
Well,
or Rome has now from the Holy Roman Empire back in the day.
Basically, I mean, they have all the money, and they hide it.
Who? The Romans? I mean, Rome, Italy, the Vatican, or the Jewish people.
I mean, it's a whole. It's really. Going back to the Karl Marx thing. He said that religion is the opiate of the masses.
Ooh.
And so they try and get you in on these religions and say, yeah, well, I know the real God, but then deep down inside, in places they don't like to talk about, nobody likes to talk about, dark rooms in the church. Awful things are happening. Serious.
That's
crimes.
Any kind of organized religion.
Yeah, serious,
not necessarily just the
serious crimes. I mean, the really the pedophilia is off the charts.
Okay, that's more the Catholics, I think.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's about the probably the the Satanic Jews too. I mean, because like I said, there's two different kinds of Jews. The guys you see wearing the black hats, with the little curly Q.
Those are called Hasidic Jews.
Well, they're Orthodox. They're
Orthodox Jews, yeah,
and they're very, very, they're obviously very standoffish. I've met some of them, and they're very nice people, and they're just following along the faith.
So who's dealing with all the stuff in Hollywood, like the underground, like all the parties? And speaking of pedophilia, you hear about all these stories.
Elon Musk.
No.
Yeah, well, there's
Not Elon Musk.
He's part of
there's
it.
high
He is not.
high priests there. There's satanic.
He just did
priests
weird
there.
stuff with his kids and when he was in Africa with them and stuff. But anyway, what'd you say?
Well, I mean,
Cindy Lou?
there's high priests there, like you take on. Well, I mean, should we talk about Scientology?
Yeah.
I mean, are we allowed to talk about science? Nobody
I
ever
don't
really is
know.
allowed to talk about.
We're still on the
Scientology.
air as far as I know.
But
maybe the podcast will be taken down.
Scientology was founded by
L. Ron
L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah.
Science fiction writer.
Yeah, I like this book.
And L. Ron Hubbard, of course, used to pal around with Jack Parsons, and Jack Parsons is the one who founded Jack Parsons Laboratory, JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
Oh, no kidding.
For NASA.
I never knew that.
Yeah. And then they actually both used to run around with Aleister Crowley, who's, was the most wicked man in the world. He was Ordo Templi, something
Wait,
like
he
that.
was not the devil guy. No.
Satan
no.
guy.
Well,
he didn't start. Did he start the
his
Satan
big-
stuff in
No,
LA?
that's Anton LaVey.
Oh, I'm thinking of Anton LaVey.
Yeah.
What did Aleister Crowley do again?
Aleister Crowley was known for a
evil guy.
while. He was just a very evil guy. He's the one who pretty much came up with the whole thing of as above, so below. If you've ever heard that.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was
So,
Anton LaVey that did that. This thing, the symbolism thing, or you got
and he's also the one that says, do what thou will, shall be the whole of the law. So, really devoid of any kind of moral thing. And actually, supposedly, I believe Aleister Crowley was related to Barbara Bush.
No
Wow.
kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I've never
creepy.
heard that one before.
Mhm.
Well, you could go into a whole bunch of stuff about
Right.
9/11 now and the Bush family
And like
what
you
they
go
knew
back
and
to
Bin Laden and everything.
this is the elder Bush, not Bush Jr.
Not W. We're talking
not,
about HW.
Not W. I mean, what
Herbert Walker.
now W. There's an old saying in Texas, or well, maybe it's Tennessee. I know it's in Texas, but
What?
you fooled me once.
Mhm.
You fooled me. You can't get fooled again.
Yeah, right. That's the problem. He didn't even know what the damn
He
saying
didn't
was.
even
That
know what he
always
was
funny.
saying. So there was a whole
He went to Yale and everything. So.
right. Well, and he was in.
And didn't President Trump go to?
He was
where did
in
he go? Princeton or Yale? I forget.
They both went to. Where did President Trump? President Trump is a graduate apparently from
I can't remember.
the Wharton School of Business.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
So, but
that's at Yale,
but
right?
but yeah, the Bush family, big time in Yale. If you remember going back to the 2000 and
I know Alex used to like to bring up
Yeah.
Skull and Bones. You haven't even talked about Skull and
right,
Bones.
well,
Now you're
Skull
talking
and
about
Bones.
those
I
presidents.
mean, that was the whole thing back in 2004. So 20 years ago now. That was the first time. A lot of people don't even remember this. That the candidates were George W. Bush versus John Kerry. John Kerry, yes, John Kerry.
And he became like the czar, quote unquote,
the climate czar.
Climate czar, yeah.
And actually, they were both at Yale at the same time, and they were both members of Skull and Bones. And at the time,
we need to have you on for hours.
Yeah, well,
you know what? Everybody needs to just tune in to Cindy Lou's Facebook
I mean,
Live.
seriously, if you see my thing, I mean, you can send me again, Cindy Pryber, Cynthia Pryber. It's going to be, you can look up my Facebook page, and I don't know, send me a friend request, or I don't know, something like that. I mean, I don't know if I'll be able to get to everybody. If you want to really know exactly more about thing. Oh, look, I've got a nice comment here.
Spell your name on Facebook. How is this? It's Cynthia, right? It's not Cindy Lou.
What do I have it
I
as?
think it's
let's look.
But they got to check this out because she's got some fascinating things.
Well, I've been trying to do it because I've set up my own little company and or my little entity to fight against this, and I'm doing everything.
Well, just talking about it is a good step.
Yeah, I'm doing.
This is stuff that people don't hear about. They probably think we're all nuts now listening to this podcast.
Okay, so
radio show.
My page is actually under my name. It's CYNDI. That's how you spell Cindy.
So not Cynthia, it's Cindy.
I think you can find me. I mean, but the last name is Pryber. That's P like Paul, RY, B like Bob. ER.
Yeah. So Cindy CY
just like Cindy Lauper spells.
So I don't know how she spells.
Okay,
CYNDA.
Is
that right?
No, CYNDI. Same.
Oh,
thing.
DI. There's an I there. She just said it. Didn't she?
Oh boy. Because it's not.
Pay attention.
Yeah, it's not like. Well, because really, Cynthia, CYNTHIA. So I've just shortened it down. It's just a.
Well, anyway, so Cindy CYNDI Pryber Facebook, and you can watch her talk about this stuff.
You can talk about it, and my whole
we need
thing,
to get you a website, or you just come back on. You used to be on every week.
Well,
with me,
maybe
so
I'll come back
once a month
on
or
the next
something.
time or something.
Yeah, no, we can have you on every couple of weeks to update us on what's going on.
The progress.
And you got to keep channeling Alex.
Right. We can do that, but like I've been,
he's still on, by the way, right? He is still on the air somewhere, on radio somewhere.
Well, he's on band.video.
Yeah, but that's not radio. That's internet stuff.
I guess he's still on radio.
And they could ban him from there if they really want.
I don't know. I mean, I'd like to get out and do some shows with some folks and stuff like that, because I just want to try and get the real message out here. Like on my show, I'm pretty much called myself the Hillsborough County Sheriff. That's what that whole thing is. That's what that whole
thing is.
And it's all about keeping you out of hell.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm investigating the crimes. I've been doing the work.
So it's the
Cindy
News Network, CNN, and you are the Hillsborough Sheriff.
I am the Hillsborough County Sheriff, and then I've also since where I'm also using assumed names here, and I have no actual evidence that there is a man named Joe living in that big giant White House.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't even get into that.
I've also decided that you know what,
since
I can't confirm it that the guy is actually alive, I'm the acting president right now.
Oh, now you're going to be president?
Yeah.
So
well,
Cindy Lou for
I'm
president.
just the acting president.
Cindy Pryber for president.
And this is why I think you're seeing a lot of chaos going on in the world.
Well, wait a minute. Now. Wait, you can't be, because there's still a VP. So
well, no. I mean,
she's running for president.
So. But he didn't step down. He just says, I'm not stepping down from my job.
Well, let's see what happens. Maybe that's what we're going to do. We're going to have you on another week or so.
I'm not stepping out of the race.
We're going to have you on after the convention, and you can give us
there's going to be some
stuff.
We'll look at what's going on with the convention.
Yeah. Oh, well, the rumor was that the president's coming back. So I don't know if that's going to happen.
Buildings are getting shut down, locked down.
Oh, yeah.
The whole economy is falling apart. There. So,
well, they did it in Milwaukee for the Republicans. It was pretty,
and I'm
tight security.
Right.
So.
But I'm very humble. But there's a good possibility.
Are you going to be standing out there protesting, or what?
I'm not. I have no plans
to. Hold up your big sign, CNN News.
If somebody says, "Cindy, you need to get out there and start talking to people," I'll be out there as soon as I can possibly get out.
You could do lives from the Democratic National Convention.
This is a very much a humanitarian peacekeeping.
Hopefully, you don't get hit in all the riots like they had in the '60s. Or something. The rumor is that they're probably going to have big major protests again. So we'll see. That's why they're putting up all the fencing and stuff.
Right.
So anyway, so Cindy, Cindy Pryber. I almost say Cynthia because I always thought it was Cynthia.
Well, it is long
anyway.
Term, yeah.
So Cindy Pryber, and we're going to switch gears a little bit if he hung on, and maybe he can give us his 2 cents on what he thinks about what's going on too a little bit. But we have our entertainment concierge going to tell us what the scoop is with stuff in Chicago. Let's see if we have him on there.
Excuse myself for just a second.
Oh, okay. Cindy Lou's going to step out of the room for a minute. All right. And we're going to bring on our guest from the phone, our entertainment concierge. Are you with us, Rich? You there?
Gotcha.
There he is. Hey, Rich.
Hey, Mario.
You probably couldn't hear much of what we were talking about. We just had our guest you remember when she was my co-host, Cindy Lou? You remember her? She was on the old show on Slam Internet Radio when you were on.
Oh, God,
I know that's a while ago. Anyway, she was just our guest in the studio. She just stepped out for a minute, but we definitely want to have Rich on. We haven't talked to you in a while. You've been doing okay?
Been doing just fine.
Keeping an eye on what's going on entertainment-wise in Chicago?
Oh, you bet. You bet. I got all sorts of things to tell the good folks about.
Well, I'd love to hear it. So we're just gonna let's have you just go, and if I have a question, I'll ask it.
All right. Are you ready for me now?
We are ready for Rich. You're on.
Cool. All right.
Hi, say hi, Libby.
Hi, Rich.
Hi. Hey, how are you, Liz?
I feel a lot better. I was sick last week.
Yeah, she didn't make it last week either. So anyway, so you like to update us mostly on the theater stuff, but you've got a little bit of everything because you also do trade or barter, I should say.
We can talk about trade after. I just want to give you our listeners just a little idea of what's going on in the theater world right now.
Yep.
We've got well over 200 theaters in Chicago, and they're all very busy.
I bet. I was downtown trying to get to some of them the other day, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of traffic and a lot of action in the city.
Well, there's always going to be action in the city.
Well, most of them were coming.
About some of the shows.
Most of them were trying to go to the theater, Rich. Most of them were trying to go into all the theaters because I was driving down there, and a lot of the roads were blocked off. They're like, man, how are people getting around tonight? This was last week.
Well, this is last week. Wait, it's going to get worse.
Yeah, with the convention and everything. So what's going on? What are some new shows?
All right, what's going on?
Yeah.
Well, let's first of all talk a little bit about what's going on in Chicago. Chicago has all sorts of things going on. First of all, I want to bring your attention to a couple of the shows that are going on in the Broadway in Chicago plays. Like, for example, you've got...
That's where I was, by the way. I was in front of the Cadillac Palace Theater. I'm like, how are people getting here? The roads were blocked. You can only go one way. I'm like, geez.
Oh, they're gonna get in, Mario. You can always find a way to get to a show.
I guess they were all walking,
and they've always got a little path that's left for us.
And that's Broadway in Chicago.
And over at the Cadillac Palace, you've got Back to the Future, the musical.
I can't believe they made that into a musical, but whatever. It's doing really well.
Back to the Future, a musical. And over at the Netherlander, you got another great show over there.
That's also Broadway in Chicago, right?
What you have at the Netherlander is Harry Potter. It comes in September. Harry Potter musical.
Another movie adaptation and book adaptation. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then you got the Steppenwolf Theater, for example. It has all sorts of world premieres going on right now.
That's not Broadway in Chicago. That's a private group, right? Yeah.
Well, Steppenwolf is known for its Steppenwolf is well-known theater. Little Bear Ridge Road is a world premiere, and that's going to be here in September. It's a dramedy, a drama comedy, and that's running to August the 24th. It's loaded with award-winning talent. And that's over at the Steppenwolf. Also at the Steppenwolf is Noise is Off. That's going to begin in September. And
I've heard of that one.
Oh, yeah. Steppenwolf is one of the neatest little theaters in the country, by the way. It's well known all over the world.
Yeah, wasn't Gary Sinise one of the founders of it, or involved with it at least? Lieutenant Dan, right?
Well, I'm having trouble hearing you, but let me just quickly go through a couple of these other shows that I got to bring attention to. Another Midwest premiere, Alice by Heart. It's a Midwest premiere. It's a magical, fantastical, inspired by Alice in Wonderland. That's at the Chopin Theater.
Oh, cool.
Okay, and
Never
also
heard of
at the Chopin. You got another great show at the Chopin Theater too. You got
something.
Just hang on a second. Okay, at the Chopin, you got the world premiere of Scooby. The Golden Girls meet Scooby.
The Golden Girls meet Scooby.
All right, interesting.
So we got
one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite groups for a comedy show. It's just nothing but fun.
Who's writing these plays?
Richard doesn't worry about that. He just has to tell you about them.
It's absolutely incredible. You won't believe a show like this. You'll laugh till it hurts.
I don't believe I'm hearing about a show like this.
Well, that's just Chicago. Then you go a little bit north. You've got the Skokie Theater. They're doing right now. They're doing the Carousel. By the way, Music Theater Works in Skokie is one of my favorites in any event, and it's one of the theater-going crowd's favorites as well. They do marvelous work. They've got Carousel, the Rodgers and Hammerstein's classic, voted by Time Magazine as the best musical of the 20th century. That's going to close this weekend, by the way. But coming up will be another great show that they're going to do. And then in Skokie Theater, you've got South Pacific. You got
I know we got something there because they're like Rich always says. There's 200 theaters and there's something going every night. Something's opening, something's closing.
Well, the actors, they all have
to. At the Marriott Lincolnshire, the 1776 the musical that starts the 21st of August. The Cottage is a romantic comedy. That's in Lake Forest.
Look at this. There's something everywhere.
Citadel Theater.
Well, we
in September.
We got to have you on longer, I guess, because there's always, you got so many things to talk about. We have, segment time. We got to just give Rich the whole show one day. That's what we're going to do. Rich is going to be on for the whole entire show. Huh? But I do like you to say your sign off, and then we're going to wrap it up here for our show tonight.
No, you got to shut it down, huh?
Yeah, but I want to tell them where to find you. So if they want to get a hold of Rich, it's 312-661-1975, and they can just call you directly and get the scoop on what's going on in theater. And also, you do barter. You do trade with people.
Oh my God! Yes, I do.
Yeah, so
I do tons of that. I wear a lot of hats. I wear a lot of different hats.
Great.
One of them is.
Well, we're going to have you on longer in the next couple of weeks. I want to do a full feature of Rich and everything. And everybody, thanks for listening again. And Rich, go ahead and do your sign off. That's a sign off for us too. We've been listening to another great episode of Bell and Company here with me, myself, Mario J. Bell, and then Libby. And our guest today was Cindy Lou Pryber, and of course Rich with TSP Productions and your Entertainment Concierge. And Rich, go ahead, say goodbye for everybody.
Well, let me just say, hey, old bean, and you too, baby. This is Rich, your Entertainment Concierge. Signing off, and until next time, everybody stay well.
Thanks, Rich. Everybody take care now. Bye-bye.
Thanks.